YouTube, and we're going to turn this camera on us because that would just be weird if it wasn't. There you go. Let's look at how pretty we are. So, I know Lindsay as a comedian. Wow, I'm going to have to sit way back here so I don't have to stare at my forehead. Goodness gracious. This is a very serene, very calm, very white space.
It isn't usually.
We got going on here.
We got lucky.
Whew. Brightness. I'm used to dark bar rooms, Lindsay.
I'm sorry.
That's kind of right. So while we've got all this up and going, we're gonna get on Facebook and share it. Do you have your Facebook? Do you want to share that so your friends can see it? And while we're doing that,
sure. Let me go do that.
I will get the plugs in. We are getting together on Sunday because on Sundays here in Mobile, our good friend Govna has got it set up to where Merry Widow is doing a comic open mic at 7 o'clock. And so we wanted to get together before that, and that's why we're here now. So we'll get that plug out of the way. Also, if you are catching this live and you are in Pensacola and you're not sure what you're doing tonight, you need to get over to Shizuko's and go see Cliff Cash. He's on the bill with Norm DePlume and a few other comics. Olivia Cersei, I know, has a lot to do with Shizuko's.
I think Bryn Mac's on it too.
Bryn Mac's on it too. I can't think if there's anybody else on it, but I know Back Porch Comedy, and that's the bulk of that. Yeah, but I got to see Cliff last time he was in town. He is hilarious. Have you ever seen him?
I don't think so. No, I have not.
Tons of fun. So yeah, if you get a chance, check out Cliff Cash. If you like comedy, do yourself a favor. Because he'll have a special soon, no doubt. He's amazing. So just sharing this on Facebook. If you're catching this on the podcast and you want to find us on Facebook, it's just my page, Compton Smith. You can like the page, no big deal. Where are all your Facebook plugs while we're getting all this promo stuff out of the way? I feel like these are the commercial reads at the beginning of the podcast. So we get everybody's plugs out of the way so you can find people. And it kind of helps explain who you are, too, because it's not just a comic. But catch us up.
It would be Lindsay Vereen on Facebook. All my shit's public, so
there you go.
I'm not hiding anything. You can just check me out there. I have an Instagram.
Yeah?
Lindsay Loov, LINZLOOV.
I have got to get back into Instagram, apparently.
It's alright.
Is I?
It's alright. I'm
going to share this public. So I think that goes to my timeline. I hope it goes to my timeline. So Instagram is one of those things that I'm not real good at. Twitter, I suck real bad at Twitter. Are you in the Twitter sphere at all?
I got Twitter, and I had it for about an hour. And I just was not, I just couldn't do it. I tried to get somebody's attention, Drake's to be specific. He didn't respond. I was like, nah, never mind, I'm over it.
This whole thing sucks.
Yeah, I couldn't fully understand it either. Plus I feel like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, I feel like that kind of fills any voids that I have of social interaction. I think that's enough. I think I've got it covered with all of those. So
yeah, I run into that all the time now that I distribute this podcast in so many places. It's like, when's enough? Like, how many times do you need to resend this?
Well, and the same people are following you on all of that stuff, too. So it's like, how many times over do they have to see what you're eating for lunch?
Yeah, and if I'm tired of looking at it, I'm sure they are.
That's a lot of different places to post, too.
It is. I've tried to work it out. I experiment with mine all the time just because I do so much stuff like this, and it's fun. I like social media because it's an experiment, like, from the big picture perspective.
Yeah.
It's AI and us figuring out how to not kill each other at the same time in a lot of ways.
It's scary.
It's fun, but it's fun stuff. And so I try not to overdo it with people, but I try and link as many things as possible because I'm really lazy. So I want to do it once, and I want it to go everywhere. I just did that so bad that it went everywhere, and then it created this little mini loop where Twitter was like, you're an asshole, stop doing that. They called me out on it. This, if you see, I don't know how good your eyeballs are, but we may, if we have comments on here and we can read them fast enough. If not, we'll come back and catch them up. But I know you mentioned you had some friends that were wanting to tune in. So if anybody in TV land wants to play along, then feel free. We're glad to have you. You said you've actually seen more of the episodes than I have of Truth, Love, and Peace, which is probably a good thing. That's probably more than me. I enjoy going back and listening to them. Do you have were there any standout moments? Like my favorite moment so far has to be being informed about Black Twitter by Ryan Adams.
So I didn't see that.
So
that sounds like that's pretty.
Yeah.
Sound like that was a good moment.
It was hysterical because I had no idea such things existed. I got an education.
You didn't know that existed?
No, I told you I don't know shit about Twitter. I don't know shit about Twitter.
I don't have Twitter, but I knew that Black Twitter existed.
No, I was in the dark. No pun intended.
I don't think any moments. I think I'm just biased to certain people and vibes, and so I've always I enjoyed Carson's, of course, and Matt Mosley, like we talked about earlier. He's just a hilarious guy, so I would have enjoyed talking to him if it were my thing going on. But I liked those a lot. I enjoyed those. I think the Blind Mule was a nice little setup for that too. I think it really did kind of work.
I like having the.
I think you got it in there just at the right time. Before it started getting rowdy.
The suit of iron is just great background. I love that part.
Yeah, the red.
It feels very bedknobs and broomsticks to me every time I walk in there. I want Angela Lansbury to be somewhere. But
in a creepy way.
Yeah. In a very heavy metal kind of weird, attic-y kind of way. But the Blind Mule is awesome. It is awesome. The funniest thing, though, the way their AC unit's set up, if you guys want me to break down a fourth wall for you, if you ever want to see me squirm, get uncomfortable physically, it was when I was talking to Ryan. Nothing to do with Ryan.
Ryan Adams?
Yeah, it had nothing to do with Ryan. It had everything to do with I was sitting on the same boards that support the air conditioner, and so the air conditioner was oscillating and vibrating at this specific frequency, and it freaked me out. I've been waterboarded, and I was not as upset after being waterboarded as I was after having to sit through that air conditioner for 30 minutes.
That
it
air
was
conditioner
strange.
Didn't used to be there either. I mean, before, back in the day, we didn't have anything up there. And in the summertime, after open mic, you'd literally be, drenched. You took your clothes out of the dryer too soon because you have sweat so much that evening. It almost feels like you're going insane a little bit because you just get, hotter as the evening goes on and you're drinking and you're trying to, and then you get angry and... It was an experience. So,
speaking of back in the day, quantify it for us. How long have you been doing stand-up comedy?
Well, 2.5 years. So that's why I did back in the day, in quotes.
Oh, I got you. That's close enough, though.
In my early days, but not back in the day.
I'm a rookie anyway, so you can do that all day long. You're allowed.
I'm
so 2 years. Just the air conditioner is only 2 years old.
That air conditioner is maybe a year old.
Woohoo! I got here just in time.
You did.
I knew I was holding out for a reason.
Yeah, congratulations to you.
That's awesome, though. So, 2.5 years you've been doing it. Have you ventured out anywhere besides the Blind Mule? Pensacola, you said you've been to Pensacola.
Of course, I've done shows at the Handlebar.
Where's that? Tell us about it. It's in Pensacola, right? I've never been there, though.
It's by the interstate.
The bar in Pensacola that I got paid to show up at.
Yeah. It's kind of like a hole in the wall kind of thing. It's real shade. But, it's a cool place. I've performed there. Of course, I've performed at Back Porch. I've never done any shows there. There's been somewhere else in Pensacola, but I can't think of it right now. And then I've been to Chattanooga, and then I went to Austin, Texas for a week. Did several open mics there, and ended up on some little promotion video for an open mic they had. That was pretty cool.
Cool.
So I ventured out. Not crazy, but I haven't hit Mississippi yet, which is something I'd like to do. I'd like to hit up Hattiesburg.
What's Hattiesburg like? Do tell.
I'm not really sure. That's what I want to go.
How far away is Hattiesburg, Mississippi from here?
I think it's 2 hours-ish.
Man, and they do open mics.
Toya Free goes there a lot.
Really?
She goes, yeah.
We need to pick her brain. And I saw, because Bryn and Graham are doing that tour, the Fat Daddies up in Auburn. There's a young lady named, I think her name's Lindsay too.
Oh, yeah?
She came down and was at the Blind Mule one night, and she came over to Pensacola one night, if I recall.
Cool.
But nice young lady, good comedian, and it looks like they've got things rolling up there in Auburn too, at Fat Daddies. So that's another open mic that if I can get to, I'm trying to get to as many as I can. I was pondering my tight 5 on the way over here.
Oh yeah,
and how
your
I
tight
can,
5.
Yeah, because I'm barely good at this. Like for a rookie, I've been doing this for 6 months, so I've learned a lot, but I've still got a lot to learn because I'm
still considered a baby at 2.5 years. So
it takes so long.
It does.
Well, you only get so. It's like Tony was saying. He didn't consider himself a comic forever because he just couldn't get enough time on a mic, and it takes so much time on a mic to refine everything. For me, anyway.
It does.
You know.
Well, the thing is, too, about comedy, you can't practice it really at home. I mean, you can to a degree, but the best way to practice is on a stage in front of people with an audience. You can't do that at home. You can't really do that in the car. You know, you can only get that experience by going to an open mic, and depending on what your city has to offer, what surrounding cities have to offer, you can only get that practice in as much as you are willing and able to get out to open mics. So if you live in a city that has one a week and you're not able to really travel beyond your city, then you are only able to get practice in 5 minutes one time a week.
It takes so much extra
That's
effort
crazy.
to get out there, yeah.
And that's why it takes so long to get better a lot of times too.
Do you have a routine? Do you have your favorite mics, favorite places to go work out?
Well, I mean, of course, the Blind Mule is always going to have a special place in my heart. But I love the Merry Widow. That's a great venue.
Yeah.
And then Austin, Texas was just an amazing place to go because it was like everywhere you went, you were treated like you were like a real contributing, amazing artist, person of the world. They were like, "Are you signed up for open mic? Yeah, you get free drinks because you're an artist and you're contributing." I mean, it was like the best feeling in the world. I mean,
That's awesome.
It was really rewarding. And people, you know, a lot of times, sometimes in Mobile, like people are there, but they don't even know that comedy's going on, or comedy is more of an afterthought to people already at a bar. In Austin, it was like, they came here to see comedy. They are waiting to see you. They are paying attention. It was great.
We need more of that.
Yeah,
There are a lot of people
it really made
working
me
on it,
hungry.
though. That's great though, and that's good to hear because like Governor doing this one on this at the Merry Widow. There's more and more shows being added. Yeah, and the listening room. They've started booking shows over at the listening room. Every time I see a show pop up, it's like, oh, good. When I get good enough, that's one more place I can get paid.
For sure.
That's one more place I can get paid.
And there's Satori right down the road now that they've come back. They had an open mic for a while, then they went away, and now they've come back.
What's the deal there? I know nothing about that.
It's a little coffee shop.
I like coffee.
A long time ago, it used to be like a music shop. It's a real cool place. It's an open mic, so it's comedy, music, poetry, whatever anybody wants to get up there to do. But it's a completely different crowd than the Blind Mule, so
hey, that's good.
It's always good when you can
Fresh
try
audience.
out completely different crowds and completely different people and see where.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
that's an awesome thing.
For sure.
I don't know how much of your material you want to talk about, but the bit you have about your mom.
Which
and
one
John
now?
Travolta.
You what now?
And is it John Travolta? Or
Vince Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fuck. Because I love that whole era and genre of movies. And so every time you do that bit, I think of movies I haven't thought of in forever that just come out of that whole thing. That whole bit is fucking classic.
Well, thank you.
But I don't really have a question about that as much as I'm interested what your take on comedy is. Like, what's it looked like over the 2 years besides getting a new air conditioner at the Blind Mule? Like,
yes.
how's it changed? How's it been? Because that's what I'm in the beginning of embarking on now, and so I'm always fascinated on what other people's experience has been.
My experience was I was really spoiled in the beginning. I had a really great start.
Yeah.
Like, I got laughs. I mean, I'm not really trying to brag, but I got laughs the very first time I got up there. I got booked really quickly within doing it, and then continued to get booked for a while, and then was getting out of state really quickly, and then it just sort of all seemed to come to a halt. And that was really hard for me to deal with because of the start that I had, and I kind of had this false sense of reality that it was always going to continue to go up from there. And so it was really hard to deal with when things started to slow down. I think I just kind of got spoiled in my beginning. But It seems like in Mobile, we were doing really great for a while, and now it seems like it's died down a little bit. And now we're trying to pick back up again. Because we had a lot of different things going on at different places, but we kind of lost them. Mobile's sort of, I love Mobile, but a problem with Mobile seems to be like we have a lot of potential, but we don't really know how to use it. We have a lot of talent, but we don't know really how to market it.
I gotcha.
You know, we don't really know how to facilitate it and make it happen. But the longer I've done comedy, the more I've learned, and the more I've learned that there is more to learn.
Always.
Yeah, like I thought I knew a lot, but now I realize I really don't hardly know anything about comedy. But it's been a great experience. I mean, the people that you get to meet, the people that you get to have connections with, the kind of connections that you make with, like, to people all over the world, all over the nation. I mean, it's an amazing experience. The friends that, you know, the people at the Blind Mule, they all become kind of like your family that you see every week, you know.
That's very true. And when one of them's not there,
yeah,
you're like,
everybody's like, where's they at? Where are they at?
Where's so and so? It's very true. That having a place to get together and having something to gather around is very cool. I've enjoyed learning how to write bits. I had a little bit of experience as a speaker beforehand, so the stage fright wasn't as big a deal for me as the learning how to be funny on demand. How'd that go for you?
I was always kind of the class clown, so that's not that hard for me. What was difficult for me was learning how to just kind of control myself, like keep it toned down to a degree. Being organized. I really struggle with organizing, like, my set and how to go and the flow of it and making it all make sense and what order to put everything in. That's what I struggle with the most. Or also sometimes just being in my head too much to where I overthink it and then I'm not funny or I'm not myself enough because I'm overthinking it or I'm getting insecure.
I can empathize with that one. Yeah. I know exactly what that one feels like.
It's like if I could just let go, you know, it'd be great. But sometimes you can't let go. Or like on paid shows, I would always get in my head too much about people actually paid to get in here. You know what I mean? This isn't an open mic where whatever. People paid $5 to get in here, and I would get in my head about that a lot, and then I would end up not even doing as well on an actual show that, you know, I earned the right to be there, but then I wouldn't do as well as I would at an open mic, and I kind of struggled with that for a little while. And that really kind of hurts your ego too, because you're like, when it's time to be good, and then you're not, and you're like, well, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things that I knew enough about comedy since I've been a comedy fan most of my life that when I got into it, there was something about just experiencing it and not having to overwork it that I needed to just be involved in and be immersed in. I know enough about performing that I had that going in, and so there have been a lot of times where just getting up there and seeing what happens and conducting the experiment, and then remembering it's just an experiment. It'll be okay. It'll be over. It's not the end of the world. That's helped me a lot. Just framing it as how to get out of my head, because I had the same problem of getting out of my head, and I still struggle with it. Is there any quick fix for you? Is there any go-to that you use to prevent that from happening? Because I'd love to know that trick.
To prevent it from happening?
Or to turn it off?
A lot of times it turns off naturally once I get up there. Or if I just kind of focus on somebody in the audience. Like somebody that's a good face to focus on that's really reacting. I'll keep coming back to them sort of for, like, keeps me going. But I think what's helped me a lot is also, like, I'll go up there and I'll know what I want to talk about. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to look at any notes. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to get up there and talk like I'm talking to my friends and just see how that goes. And when I've done that, I've written some of my best jokes by just letting go as well. So it can really work out sometimes, but it can also really not.
I think so. I study a lot of philosophy, as you know, we've discussed a little bit, mentioned at least. And so the phenomenon of being in a flow state, like being in the zone, I love studying that. I don't know how much you've looked into it, but it definitely exists in the comedy world, like just being in the zone and being able to toss stuff out the same way it exists in sports. And I used to love driving because you can get in that zone really easily.
Yeah, or showering.
Yeah, I love it.
I think of a lot of stuff in the shower.
Yeah.
Or I go over my sets a lot in the shower.
Really? Do you time it based on how much hot water you have left? Because that sounds like what I would do. Like, I know when the water starts dying off, but then I gotta start wrapping it up.
That's my light. That's my time. I gotta go.
How did that come about? Is you just got good acoustics in there, or just relaxing? What is it about your shower that you love so much?
I guess I feel like I'm truly alone, finally. Oh. You know, when you have roommates and shit, too, it's like there's nobody that's going to be popping in here. I'm finally, truly alone. The bathroom walls are not going to judge me.
Yet. That you know of.
Right.
Something, I don't know. I know exactly what you mean, because I can remember being a kid, and when I lived at home in high school and had the whole family around, it was one of the only places. And like, no, the likelihood of someone barging in here is slim to none. It's gonna be okay. There's peace. There's peace in this house somewhere.
Somewhere.
For a moment. Oh man, do you study a lot of philosophy, or not study? Everybody thinks about philosophy. What do you philosophize about when you sit around and ponder the big questions of the world?
It's morbid, but I think about death a lot.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Me too. I do a whole bit about death. You probably heard it. What do you think about when you think about death?
How I'm just never going to understand it, and how the kind of person I am that just really, really bothers me. The absolute randomness of it all. And, I was very naive to death as just a little while ago, but I still thought about it a lot, but in a very different way. Like, in a sort of romantic way, and like, what would people say about me when I'm gone kind of way. And now that I've lost people, I think about it in a much more morbid way, like how just how it just really, we're just not guaranteed any moment of time. Like, you and I could be struck down in the next 2 minutes. This podcast might be it for both of us. I mean,
this could be.
And just I think about why people are the way they are all the time, what makes us who we are, and how what little tiny things can even be a part of that, or what direction you twist tie the bread in, or whatever, and stuff like that. Maybe that has to do with who you are.
I think so too. My friend and I took it so far as to include astrology. A lot of people want to dismiss astrology, and they're stars don't have anything to do, and it's well, hang on. The sun will ruin you if you go lay out ass up uncovered all day long. So the stars are just suns further away. How could we think that they don't have some kind of impact on what's going on around us? And even on that level, there is this interaction. I think that, I don't know, it fascinates the shit out of me. I love it.
But they say we all have a connection to the moon and everything too, especially women, and the tides and menstruation and all of that. It's all supposed to be connected. You have seasonal affective disorder, right?
Yeah, I think it's SAD, seasonal affect disorder.
Right.
Yeah, I got that.
Yeah, I mean, that shit exists.
But I think it all is connected. I like to say that if you want to know anything, you have to know everything, because it's all connected. But
you're not ever going to know everything, so.
No, we got to try though. It's the pursuit. It's there is no such thing as perfection, but it's the pursuit of perfection that's noble. The samurai's journey. That's where all my reference comes from.
So I don't believe in perfection.
You don't believe that. You don't believe in it as an ideal, or you don't believe in it as you can have it.
I just don't believe that anything's perfect. I don't know. I just don't know if anything perfect exists. I mean, I guess that's a matter of opinion as well. I mean, I guess you could say a flower is perfect.
Well,
but
okay, so we're thinking about two different things. If I asked you, describe a unicorn, how would you describe a unicorn?
Cute and pretty and fun, I guess, and all that stuff.
The important parts.
Yeah, sure.
The defining parts would be, without me saying them, you would come up with
those things.
What are the defining parts of a unicorn? Just say it for me, please.
The horn.
Thanks. So in a way, there is this co-created. That's what I think perfection is. It's this, Plato would call it the ideal forms. You're not gonna go play with it, but it's out there for us to ponder.
Yeah.
That I love that unicorn thing, because I pulled that on somebody in an English class once upon a time as a freshman. They did not like me. This is too funny. But unicorns aren't real. Yes, they are. Describe. Yeah, anyway. That's a whole nother tangent. That's a whole nother tangent altogether. So, from a philosophy standpoint, how does that tie back into your comedy? That dark sense of humor, is it always there, or is it something you're aware of?
I think comedy is a step away from that. I think comedy gets me away from all of that, because I can sort of sometimes become consumed by it. And I used to write poetry a lot, which I still do, but my poetry is really like dark and sad and depressing. And so comedy is the other spectrum. It's totally getting myself away from that, finding the funny things in life again, not getting too consumed by those feelings and those dark places or whatever. So comedy is a way for me to get away from it and step out of it. It's a release in a whole other different manner.
Do you have like tons of material? I imagine after doing it for 2 years, you've got a pretty nice.
I have a lot of material. How much of it is really good, is a whole other story. I've got like pages of stuff that I haven't even tried yet.
Yeah, me too. That's what I mean.
Right.
Like a backlog.
Tons
I
of
thought
stuff.
of this. It might be funny.
One day, you'll have the right moment to say it.
Yeah, I was at the open mic at the Olive Drop last Thursday, and I hadn't prepared anything. I didn't know, so I was just like, "Fuck it." These are 15 pages in my notebook that have not been gone through yet.
Sometimes
Y'all are
those
gonna
nights
listen
go
to me
really
read it.
Yeah.
And I even got a couple of chuckles, but
Yeah, for sure.
it was very amateur. I felt very amateur, but I got something out of it.
All of those experiences are good, I think. I think just about any experience that's different in comedy is good, because you're going to learn something from it. You're going to take something away from it.
Who do you like in comedy? Like when you were starting out?
Robin Williams is my idol.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm anything like him at all, but he is my absolute idol. I think he's just hilarious and outside of himself, but inside of himself at the same time. And he's so quick and animated, and he's just fucking hilarious. And he seems really approachable.
How'd that play into your life? Like, I can remember where I was age-wise and life-wise when certain Robin Williams movies came out.
Mrs. Doubtfire is my favorite one by far, and that's probably my favorite comedy by far. And I just remember, I remember watching that movie over and over, and all the impressions that he would do, and just how funny that was, and how fun it looked to do that.
Yeah. And
for your job to be something like entertaining people, because I think in the movie too, his job was he did voices for like an animation.
Yeah, he and his brother.
And then that all carried out all throughout the movie, to where there's this scene where he's like talking to the social worker, trying to prove that he's like looking for jobs, and she's like, "What special skills do you have?" And he's like, "I do voices," and she's like, "I do voices." And then he goes into this whole spiel where he does all his different stuff in like a 1 minute take. And I mean, it's just brilliant. In the very ending, which cracks me up, he goes, "I do a great impression of a hot dog." And that's all he does, and he's like wearing this jacket that's red here, so it kind of looks like buns. And it's just hilarious because it just catches you off guard. You know what I mean? You wouldn't even expect that to be funny, but it just comes at you, and it's hilarious.
That's great. Birdcage.
Right, that's a great movie.
Should we just recite the whole thing? Like, where do you want to start? Agatha.
That's a great.
Agathorn.
And he's what's his name? Nathan Lane. He's great. He's hilarious.
From producers.
Yeah, I was going to name that one next. That's a great movie.
You do Madonna, Martha Graham, the whole thing, all of it, absolutely hysterical. Robin Williams is just so good. I miss that dude.
Something for Hitler in Germany. What was it? It's Springtime for Hitler in Germany. That whole scene was
I never saw that one. Oh, I saw the scene in the movie. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. But there's an actual play of that somewhere, isn't there?
Maybe.
Like, I think there's a funny Ricky Gervais did something spoof on that. I don't know. Press that button. The reason we have to press that button is because one of the recordings likes to be updated. Anyway, I also loved Patch Adams. That's where I was going. Mm-hmm. What did you think of Patch Adams?
That's a tearjerker, man.
Man.
That was one of the ones I watched when he died, too. That was one of the ones I went to.
Yeah. Philip Seymour Hoffman was a special part of that movie, even though he was a bad guy. Like, I always liked Philip Seymour Hoffman. And so anytime those two were in the same realm.
It was a really good look at mental illness, I think, and just the care of older people, too, because a lot of times people forget about older people. They just seem to not give a shit anymore and just let them fall by the wayside. And a lot of times all they really need is just someone to care or a little bit of stimulation or people to continue to treat them like they're alive.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of times people get old and they get a little decrepit and they lose some of their abilities and people just treat them like they're just not even there anymore already. And that's pretty sad, I think.
It is. It is. The, grandparents being taken and left in nursing homes and not being part of the family. That's terrifying. Also, I have Alzheimer's runs in my family. That's one of the things about old age that terrifies me.
It is for me too. It doesn't run in my family, but that is scary. So I'm sorry to hear that.
Man, I can't. Do you have nightmares about losing your memory?
Not nightmares like when I'm sleeping, but I do have like day nightmares where I just think about, God, that would just be awful.
I can't even imagine most days how terrifying it must be to watching my grandfather go through it was eye opening.
I'm sure
it was eye opening. But I don't get too caught up in the mortal coil. I used to debate with my brother all the time, and I'm very much on the reincarnation. We're more than meat suits. My brother is in the camp of something like none of it really matters, and so we go back and forth in these two battles all the time. Do you have that discussion often amongst other people or with yourself?
With myself a lot.
Yeah.
I kind of go back and forth with Christianity because I was raised with all of that, and I would not necessarily sit here and call myself Christian, but I will catch myself praying, when I need to, or I think there's something bigger than us out there for sure. There's got to be. I mean, we cannot be the end of it all. I mean, that's just that's crazy.
That'd be
right. That's crazy to me. But is there like a big God up in the sky that like controls what happens to us and already knows what's going to happen to us? And is there a heaven and a hell? I don't know about all that. I don't know.
Yeah, I like Jean-Paul Sartre.
I like the thought of reincarnation, though. I really like the thought that you could become something else. And I mean, isn't it supposed to be like if you were a bad person, aren't you supposed to sort of become something like
the idea of karmic debt?
Right.
And
I kind of like the idea of that, although I don't know why, because it might come back to bite me in the ass.
The version of karma that I like lately, that is one interpretation that karma has to do with you reincarnating, and you can reincarnate up and down. That's not probably not the best. That's not the one you'll get from the gurus and the people who teach it a lot, from my understanding, which is limited. But the version of karma that I really enjoy, the interpretation that I like, is that karmic energy is this thing that we always carry around with us. And if we choose to carry around this incestuous, septic, toxic stuff, then it's not that we have put this out into the world and it comes back to us, but that we carry it with us. And then when something in the world comes back around to us and agitates us in just the right way, then that ruptures. And that's this karmic negativity. So it's, instead of it going away from us, it's something that we're always a part of us. It can be, yeah. And it's one of the reasons that things like meditative practices or, however you want to look at it, multiple different types of therapy, yoga, just psychotherapy or psychology, talking to somebody, all of those forms can help reduce that, which is one of the reasons that I like the model, that it's something that's ours and we carry it around with us, as opposed to it being out there. Because if it's in me, I can do something about it.
Yeah, you can do something about it for sure.
I like even the illusion of a little bit of control makes me happy,
especially these days.
So far gone. Do you get into any of the meditative practices or anything like that, or better yet, scratch that. Let's go back. I have an interesting history with religion and Christianity, and I was raised Episcopalian. So I would love to hear a little more about what you elaborate on. We're raised Christian, and how that affects you now. Like, and I'll give you my version of God is just the parts of physics and the universe that we haven't explained yet. So I'm okay with there's more than us, but I'm a little less inclined to think that it's a deity. I think it's something that's accessible on some level, and that's kind of my framework for how truth, love, and peace became my ideal belief system. Just because I don't want you to feel like you're put on the spot about religion, so I want to give you a big safety net in case you want to dump it back to me. You can.
Well,
but I'm curious. I'm curious in what people believe.
Well, like I said, I was raised, to believe in God is up there, the devil's down there, but I do think there is something bigger than us. I do think that we kind of set things into motion. We can control our surroundings. We can put things out into the earth. I do believe in karma. I don't really think that there's like a heaven and a hell, but I do feel like when you die that there's got to be, it can't just be, I don't think you just die. Yeah. I do believe in spirits. Like, I feel like I have spoken to spirits. That may sound crazy. I do feel like your spirit hangs out.
I've done mushrooms. I can come up with a way crazier than
that. So, I mean, I don't think when you die, like, you just go at all.
Yeah.
But I think, like I said, for me, it plays mostly into part when I just, something to lean into when you don't feel like you can lean on anything else. A lot of times sometimes it can even be a crutch. It can be a false sense of perception.
Yeah.
A false sense of strength. But also sometimes when you need it, it can really be a source of strength, a source of trying to find happiness again. But sometimes what I find frustrating is when people try to comfort you, and they'll comfort you in ways that are like say a family member is dying, and they'll say, well, they're going to a better place. Somebody who's like not Christian, somebody who doesn't really believe in heaven and hell, that is in no way, shape, form, or fashion comforting to that person.
Right. You just said nothing.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, okay, fuck you. It's basically what my response would be. Or somebody would describe it as like, I had someone once describe it to me, so if you were watching a loved one die, it's not the end, it's the beginning. Because it's the beginning of their eternal life with God. And I just kind of want to vomit when I hear that. No offense to anyone out there who believes that, but to me, that's not comforting. Yeah. That doesn't take the pain away from that situation. That's just bullshit in my eyes. But again, like, I love the idea of I love there being a moral compass out there, like the 10 Commandments. I can respect that. I mean, don't murder, don't steal, don't kill. All of that is important and should be enforced. And like I said, I think the praying thing is the biggest part that it comes into a factor for me. Like, I just catch myself doing it no matter what. Even late at night, like alone, praying to something somewhere.
Yeah, my version of that is...
So maybe being heard in a way?
Yeah, that's definitely true. My version of that is doing my own chants and different mantras. I don't know a lot of them, but it helps. Just generating that sound, that vibration, makes me feel better, which comes in handy. I am fascinated by religion from a history standpoint too. Like, I'm okay with the 10 Commandments. I just don't understand why we don't include the other 30 that came in the original package. Yeah. Like all the other good versions of history out there that have gone by the wayside that have just as much to contribute. I would love to see more. My biggest thing with the deity part, with the God part, is when it's used to absolve ourselves of some sort of responsibility.
Right. Exactly. I agree with you on that. When it's taken too far, or when people capitalize on their faith to be discriminatory and be hateful, that's not cool at all. It's like, in the name of Jesus, I'm gonna beat the shit out of this homeless person or this gay person. I mean, that's just... all of that taints all of that for a lot of people, and I think that's what a lot of people don't understand too, is that kind of stuff has turned a lot of people away from it. Yeah. Fundamentalists, extremists.
Well, I'm a big fan of Sam Harris and a couple other atheist philosophers, and they talk about the the ability to construct a moral code outside of a belief system, outside
right,
of
like you don't have to be Christian to have morals.
Right, simple, which are simple ideas. There seems to be a lot of contention for that, though. Which I don't understand, but
I don't either. Like, we can't be good people on our own, like we
yeah.
can't.
It's like,
we can't be loving good people.
Well, the
without necessarily believing in
yeah.
a higher being. I mean,
how does
that is a little ridiculous and doesn't sound very Christian to me.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I think it makes just as much sense to say that anybody can come up with the concept of do unto others.
Right.
I think that's where it starts. I think that's how even animals, even whales will come and save dolphins or seals, that are ultra altruistic because on every level we know what fear is. And so just this slight ability to empathize makes us not want to go be assholes, except for when we're starving to death. When animals are starving to death, they will eat a monkey butthole first while it screams. Ugh.
And there's always that joke too, like you don't know a person until like they're really hungry around you or something, and that hangry thing.
Yeah,
hangry is a real thing.
Oh man, my hanger is ugly.
You think so?
Oh yeah, I look like fucking one of those hobbits that didn't have a ring. I forget which one it was. It would have been Bilbo. Before anybody freaks out on me on not being up on my Tolkien, it would have been Bilbo yeah. Anyway. Mm-hmm. I'm not that up on the Lord of the Rings. Are you into any of that stuff? Do you have a favorite amongst any of that stuff?
I fucking love Lord of the Rings.
Yeah?
Love it to death. But I probably a lot of people would be really mad at me because I can't just like name off names and everything.
Yeah, me neither.
But I do absolutely love it. I have the little mini Lego figures of almost all of them. They're pretty cool.
They're right over there. Sweet. My favorite. My favorite.
There you go.
Oh hell yeah! There you go.
2 rings.
See, you can hold them up there, so everybody can see them.
Up here.
So, See, look, there you go. Bilbo, he's holding a ring and he's got a ring on the table.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Did you ever see the old cartoon?
I did, but I don't remember anything about it, so I can't sit here and have like a serious discussion.
Oh man, that was my first exposure to Tolkien. Was the Hobbit? Yeah, the original Hobbit cartoon. Simon and Garfunkel did the album.
That's fucking awesome.
Oh, yeah. It's so good. It's so good. It was one like only to be trumped by, and listen to this segue into a shameless plug. Peter and the Wolf. Which is a different Disney reference, which brings us back to Norm de Plume over at Shizuko's tonight, and with Cliff Cash and Bryn Max.
He's really funny.
If you're over there, go check them out because he can tell you way better jokes about Disney movies than I can. But Peter and the Wolf is just fucking hilarious, which got me somehow to I don't even remember where I was. What was I talking about?
I don't know.
Me either. I never do.
Me neither. I'm glad we're on the same page.
I get lost on these tangents all the time. Disney movies, and Peter and the Wolf. Old school music. I'm trying to remember how that played into Disney. It was really funny. It's right there. We could rewind the tape. But at the Merry Widow tonight with Governor, the first time I was there, I laid into this poor girl. Like, I've never been so upset that someone just incessantly talked through something. Yeah. I laid into her and then made her the punchline of the joke.
Which was?
I felt a little guilty.
Did she seem upset? Did she seem like her feelings were hurt?
I don't think so, because she just kept talking. I think I upset the guys who wanted to sleep with her more than I upset her.
Oh, well, fuck that. It's their problem. They can overcome it. And if they can't overcome it, that's their problem again.
Fuck them.
Yeah.
Fuck them.
But I mean, it is obnoxious. It seems like, too, a lot of times the people who want to talk a lot, they sit up right up front. So I'm not really sure what that's about. They'll sit right up front, and they will just blatantly talk through your entire set.
I think it's an attention thing. Like, these people want attention.
Sometimes, for sure, yeah. They can't stand that they're not getting it.
Yeah. They're like, I want to do that. I'm like, no, you can't do that.
And if you do want to do that, then shut the fuck up and get up here and do it.
Sign up, bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm pulling up this Facebook to to see if there are any comments that we should address. Anybody that we want to talk to. Don't know. Looks like there are a couple of comments there. Thank you to all of you that have tuned in so far. And thanks to those of you watching right now. Let's see. Sunny Rose Klein, Heather Jackson. Those are... Do you know who Sunny Rose is?
Yeah.
There you go. Say hey to all those people.
Hey,
you know
Sunny.
them
Hey,
folks.
Heather. What's up? Yeah. Those are my girls. Those are my ladies.
Hell yeah. Thanks for hanging out, ladies.
Shout out to my ladies.
Yeah, we appreciate y'all sharing it, watching it, all that good stuff. If there's anything you want us to mention or laugh about that we haven't, tell us now. Speak now or forever hold your peace. So, going back to the big overarching, like I said, came up with this whole truth, love, and peace thing as kind of, it's my version of a belief system, ideals. It has to do with all my communication background. But it's fun. It's fun, and I like philosophizing about it, and I like simplifying it, and I'm trying to frame that into a question that would be fun for you to to answer with enough carte blanche. What I'm trying to do is set you up to talk about what you want to talk about. Like, is there anything that's important to you that I don't know to bring up?
Well, I don't know. When you put me on the spot like that.
Another way to not put you on the spot would be to when you're not doing comedy, is there anything that you like doing? I guess another way to frame it is, who are you when you're cleaning your kitchen naked at 2 a.m.? Like, isn't that when we're the most honest with ourselves?
Yeah, I guess so. I clean naked a lot, actually.
Don't ask how I knew that.
You didn't know that. Did you know that? Or did you assume that? I think at my soul, like, I'm a poet. Like, even before a comedian, I think at my absolute core, I'm a poet. You know, I'm kind of a very insightful and dark, you know, kind of spiral out a lot.
Does this come out of the hopeless romantic thing that you were talking about earlier?
Yes.
So the ever the realist optimist kind of thing?
Something like that. The idealist.
Yeah,
You know, that's I think that's, I don't know where I'm going, but I'm on my way kind of person.
And what color are those sunsets? Mine are purple.
Hell yeah. Purple, blue, green. There you go.
Yeah, fucking Rex, the color of royalty. I like that. My friend was telling me that the reason that purple is the color of royalty is because before the solar system was interrupted, that was the color of the natural sunsets, and so the kings and queens claimed it as their own. Mm-hmm. It was like, right, humanity survived Nibiru, which was Tiamat at the time, bouncing through the solar system. It's color. It's bullshit. Mm-hmm. They came up with purple way before that. Mm-hmm. Do you like conspiracy theory stuff like that, like ancient aliens and stuff?
I fucking hate the alien shit, man.
Why?
I just hate it.
Tell me about it.
Because people just go to it all the time. Like,
well, tell me about it. Why do you
hate
hate
somebody can't explain, it was aliens.
Well,
Come
then you'll
on with it.
you'll like my version of the
Come
alien.
on with that shit.
You'll like my version of the alien thing, then.
Well, okay, what is it?
We don't need them.
Oh, okay.
My version of the alien thing is like straight up astronaut, cowboy, intergalactic refugee rebels that showed up and were like, hey, look, we can get these dumb monkeys to do tricks. Watch this. And then they manipulated some people and they took off. But not like helped us evolve. Just took advantage of us because we were just dumb monkeys to them.
I just don't think
that's my version of it.
They're that interested in us, and if they were, they would have already done whatever the hell it is they'd want to do with us.
Yeah.
I mean, what would they be waiting on if they were going to do some stuff with us, to us, whatever?
Well, most of the stories that have any real credence, I think, go back to, if there was ever any alien interference in my mind in human history, it would have been back when these supposed aliens were here, the Anunnaki, as the story goes, and they had humans mining gold for them. Like, okay, I can kind of buy that because they're not coming back and they're done and they're gone. So if they're gonna do anything, they need some mining monkeys.
Wasn't there the last Indiana Jones movie, right? The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull?
Yeah.
See, that's what ruined the Indiana Jones movies, is they fucking tried to bring aliens into it.
Because they had the aliens.
I know, it's just like Indiana Jones does not care about fucking aliens. He's an archaeologist. What the fuck? That movie was so bad.
I love the alien stuff. It's fun and it's fascinating. I don't think it's necessary. I
do think there's other life forms. I mean, for the record.
Sure,
we're definitely not the only living beings on the only planet. You know, I mean, that's... Duh. But the whole, you know, the one-eyed alien ET phone home, you know, kind of bullshit. Like, I just can't get on board with that.
I think the story of the Anunnaki and these people that came from the sky is actually just telling this oral tradition that's talking about a group of people that came from the north to the south in Middle Europe, but because they lived up on these massive ice sheets that were miles high,
a totally
the
different
story
culture.
became they came from the sky. But they and there's a lot of evidence for these cultures that existed in Northern Europe and a long time ago. The Swidarians is the popular name that they're going by now, and that they came down and influenced the building of Göbekli Tepe. I don't know if you're familiar with that at all.
No.
No? Oh, man. Well, we'll talk history some other time then.
I am fascinated by supernatural conspiracy theories a lot more.
Like, yeah? Do tell.
And unexplained deaths, and like the woman, I think her name was Mary, who literally self-combusted.
Oh, yeah, I remember hearing about that.
And what caused that.
It was in New York a while back. Like,
yeah, and all the
decades ago.
All the different theories, you know, that play into what would cause somebody to do that, or disappearing, or what's the one? I think they were Swedish and they went camping, and like all that was found was like their shoes or whatever, and blood and like a trail, but they had just disappeared, like all kinds of stuff like that.
I've heard of a couple of those. There's one that I don't know if we're talking about the same one in Russia, where there was this expedition team, these college students with a professor that went out.
Maybe that's the one that
cut their way out of their own tents.
Yeah. That's the one I was talking about.
Yeah. Those were aliens.
But see, I watched the one about what happened to Amelia Earhart, and somebody would always go to aliens. Like, it seems like all of these conspiracy theories, and then aliens will like always be one of them for every single situation. That to me is really annoying.
Well, okay, instead of the aliens for the one in Siberia, like, that's some really strange stuff. There are no prints in and out. Just the evidence stacks up real weird. Now, granted, they got there days after the fact, but what do you think about possibilities for that one?
Man, I couldn't tell you.
No.
I don't think I have the brain capacity to be able to tell you.
What do you think of the stories that the indigenous people tell out there about the lights that hurt people? And
I think they definitely saw something. Like, I don't think people, well, I don't know. I don't think all of those people just made that shit up.
Right,
you know,
right.
I think they definitely saw some things, and I believe in mind over matter a lot. So I think your mind...
Minute stare goats kind of thing? Like,
well, yeah, I mean, I really think that you can convince yourself of a lot of things. I think you can make yourself feel a lot of things. I think you can believe something enough to make it true within your own reality, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you can your reality is completely different than somebody else's, and you
especially
can
when memory's involved,
right? I mean, and you can make it so one way or the other. So I don't discount entirely anything that happened to those people or their stories. And they're very spiritual people, so I don't necessarily want to discount that either. You know, as somebody who is not nearly as spiritual as that, because that could be something that I have not had the ability to tap into.
Mm-hmm. Could it be aliens?
I don't think it's fucking aliens. No, I don't.
I believe you. I believe you. Oh, man. That would be neat if we had... But then that gets into interdimensional stuff. Like, have you heard the theories about Bigfoot being able to move interdimensionally?
I don't see why Bigfoot couldn't exist. I don't see why.
I'm okay with Bigfoot existing. I'm not okay with him being an alien. Like they can teleport.
Why would he be an alien? I mean, he looks so much like just.
I know.
He could just be a hairy ass fucking man.
He
just creeping around trying to mind his business. Like, because okay, all of the sightings of him, right, are him just like walking by. He's never fucking with anybody.
How many men do you think can keep themselves out of fuck all trouble long enough to not get caught for decades, centuries? I don't think so. Like I can't. He's not. Maybe Neanderthals. Neanderthals are smarter than us at one point in time. They had bigger brains. There's a guy named Lloyd Pye that has all kinds of theories about the different possibilities of what those primates were. Even Jane Goodall said, we know that these giant orangutans existed and these giant chimpanzees existed. So I would agree. There's definitely something there. And we know 30,000 years ago in Siberia, what they thought was a Yeti was actually what a Australopithecus, like these giant chimpanzees, 8 foot tall orangutan.
Right.
Like, holy shit. Mm-hmm. Can't even imagine. What's your favorite cryptozoological creature? Which one do you like studying the most? Or listening to stories about?
Do I have to pick one?
No, you can go with a handful. I'm okay either way. Are there any that you preferred? Like, which ones do you listen to on repeat? I guess that's a good way to put it.
I don't think I don't know.
Or let's just go with this question. Hang on. We'll go. What do you like to binge watch?
In general?
Yeah. What's the last thing you binge watched?
Fucking Hometown.
That's a podcast about Northern Alabama, right?
No, it's
What is Hometown?
This country couple living in like this tiny town in Mississippi. And they're redoing homes for these people who are like moving back home from a really big city, which I don't really understand. But they're like coming back to Laurel, Mississippi to live out their lives. And they're making these shitty homes, their dream homes for them. And also Will and Grace.
Oh, Will and Grace, yeah.
So those two things.
The new Will and Grace?
No, I started from the beginning.
Where is that? Because I would love to go back and watch those. It's on Hulu? That's awesome. What is, I can't remember Nick Offerman's wife's name.
Megan Mullally.
Yes, Megan Mullally. Her character is absolutely hysterical. It was always my favorite part of that.
Sometimes she's a little too annoying for me.
Yeah, that's why I like her. It reminds me of me.
You think you're annoying?
I have the ability. Have the ability. Who do you like on that show?
On Will and Grace?
Yeah, do you have a favorite, or is it episode by episode?
I couldn't hang out. Well, no, I take that back. I could hang out with him. Sometimes he's annoying, but Jack, the overall character, he's just hilarious, and physically he's a great actor. I mean, he's just his responses are just really he's just a hilarious, funny character, and he seems like he would be a lot of fun to kind of do some things with. Like he goes, Karen, he's always like, take me to lunch. He's just so sassy, and he's just he gets whatever he wants, and the way he's able to live his life, he's always able to have somebody paying for his shit somewhere, right? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, the lifestyle.
Right.
Man.
And he's very openly himself, which for the 90s, you know what I mean?
Was breakthrough. Yeah, he was
for sure.
Definitely one of the first, I don't know if, I wouldn't call it flamboyantly homosexual, but he was, I don't know, he was definitely a first.
Ellen was the very first.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So he wasn't too far behind that. I think
it was still pretty revolutionary for a show to be centered around, you know, like one of the main characters is a homosexual. Like that was kind of a big deal.
It was a huge deal. But when did it come out? In the mid-90s?
I think it was the mid-90s. Because I want to say, I'm not sure how many seasons there were of it.
I caught more of it in replay. I wasn't there.
It was kind of around the same times as Friends and Frasier. So when all that was going on.
I caught a ton of Frasier in replay, man. I love
Frasier. I've already binge watched that like 5 times.
Yeah?
I mean, I love that show so much.
It's good. There is some good educational stuff in there, too.
Yeah, I appreciate humor sometimes where it's like you kind of have to be educated on a certain subject to a degree to understand it. Like they have a lot of opera humor.
Yeah.
They have a lot of musical humor.
He and his brother Niles.
I love Niles. I just want to say right now, I would marry Niles in a second.
You would marry Niles in a second.
Even the wiping down of the chairs, I would put up with all of it. He's such a smart, sweet guy.
Yeah?
Yeah. I don't know. He's so smart and fun, but he's not as snooty as Frasier. Like, he has his asshole-ish ways, but Frasier legitimately thinks he's better than people. Mm-hmm. I don't think Niles feels that way. I think he acts that way a lot, but I don't think deep down he feels that way. I've thought about this a lot.
I could tell.
I've analyzed the two of them against each other a lot.
What was Niles' wife's name? Lilith was Frasier's wife, which is all kind of great biblical reference.
And they never show her.
That's right.
So they did this brilliant thing in the script where they can describe her however they want because they're never going to show her to you.
Yeah.
So they could have all these really cryptic ways of describing her and stuff. It was pretty cool.
I don't know where that name comes from, but I'm going to have to go look it up now because Anne Rice uses that name.
Oh, yeah?
In one of the Vampire Chronicles for one of her characters. Well, and Lilith being the first. Oh, yeah. Just biblical references out the ass.
Yeah.
I love getting in. It's one of the reasons I love rhetoric is because I love delving into stuff, analyzing stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And so these writers that can write on multiple levels like that and write these characters in this Joseph Campbell-esque way. Like, fuck you, people. I can't even put together a tight five.
I've talked to a lot of my friends about Frasier, actually. I think my favorite episodes are when the two brothers are going back and forth the most.
Yeah.
Because in the later seasons, they've kind of focused more on Niles with Daphne and their new relationship. But the earlier seasons are a lot when Niles and Frasier are at each other's throats and they're kind of competing. I think those are the best episodes. Because their banter back and forth is just, their insults with each other are just great. I wish I could remember some right now.
Oh, yeah. I wish I could, too. Unfortunately, it is 7:17, and we need to peace out of here. So,
sure. I think Frasier was a good note to end on.
Yeah, that is a good note to end on. So, come here.
Yeah.
Please come back and do this again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Truth, love, and peace. And let's turn this off. Is there anything you want to plug before I turn off the Facebook? Of course, truthloveandpeace.com, the Blind Mule on Wednesday nights.
Open mic Wednesdays, yeah. That's all, really.
Open mic Wednesdays, Back Porch Comedy over in Pensacola.
For sure.
And we love y'all. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
Hasta la ciao, Facebook. Hasta la ciao, YouTubes.